Click, click, click. Hello everyone and welcome to COOPH here on Lake Fuschel in Austria. Let's talk about photography and tips for beginners. Yeah, I mean a lot of people, there's a debate over what's the best gear, what's the best camera. I always say whatever gear you have, master the gear. So it doesn't matter if it's a smartphone or a more complicated camera like the SL2, know what you're using. I know masterful photographers who have really learned how to shoot with a smartphone, and I know people with the most expensive cameras you can get that really don't know what they're doing. You have to basically match your level with the gear that you have. Something like this, I personally only use maybe 20% of what this can do, but what I can do with it, I've tried to master it and learn it. So gear doesn't matter in that what you have doesn't matter, but what you do have, you have to learn to master it. In general, most of us work with available light, and even in this room right now, we have sunlight coming in here, we have sunlight coming in here, we have a sort of a key light off to the side over here. So balancing light is so important. When you begin, typically you're working with daylight, and if that's the way you work, always know where the sun is. And so one trick I use is actually, you look at your hand and you walk around in a circle and you see where the shadows land. So that's a good trick of knowing which way the light is coming from. Something like a D-Lux 8, I love shooting with because it has flash, and I've been experimenting with flash photography. So instead of moving people into the good light, you could just use something like this and then boom. Start with something simple like a flash point shoot. It helps you to understand when you're mixing available light with strobe light like this. This could be a masterclass on lighting, but experiment with light, experiment with flash, as well as experiment with daylight. Obviously timing, if you're doing street photography, portraiture, you're interacting with people and things, timing is important, but I think more important is composition. Because once you can compose and frame something beautifully, then whatever happens within that frame, for me, is beautiful. Even if the subject is out of focus, even if something doesn't work out the way that you want to, if it's beautifully framed, that's the way to do it. And I've seen great photographers just kind of like walk around. You even see directors kind of walking around like this, and that's because they're framing things up. And that helps them not only understand composition, but also helps them understand what focal length they should be using. So when you start, I think a zoom lens is great to figure out, like not just framing, but compression. So that's something people don't think about. I can fill the same frame with a 28mm lens as I could with a 75, but all of a sudden your relationship between you and your subject in the background shifts as you get closer or further away from the subject. And so play around with zoom if you're a beginner. So having something like a D-Lux 8 or any kind of a zoom lens is great to figure out what focal length feels natural to you. So composition, focal length, and negative space. Those are the 3 tips I would recommend when it comes to framing up and composing your images. Yeah, photography is, even for me, it was an archiving tool. You just took a photo, you didn't think much of it. Eventually, photography becomes a visual language and you're trying to communicate through whatever medium. Find the things that you love and enjoy, and who cares what anybody else thinks. If that's what you love, then photograph it, and I think that way you become a better artist. Getting out of your comfort zone is really important as an artist, and that's what I admire watching someone who's new to photography and really open-minded. You need to get out of that box. You need to learn to experiment, because when you experiment, you learn new things. If you are an experienced photographer, I challenge you to try something that you haven't tried, that you're scared of, that you think maybe you might fail. That's exactly what you should do.